Whoa.
So hi Jack, how you doing?
Yeah, everything's very well, Brian. What about yourself?
Yeah, mixed bag as always.
Yeah, yeah,
Difficult times. Obviously
yeah,
thinking about Ukraine, but also very busy with the QTube.
yeah.
And yeah, so obviously, score relief's coming to a conclusion, and that's exciting for both of us. But
Hmm.
we're here today to talk about you, Jack, and about your other career as a musician, as a recording artist.
Yeah.
So this is really exciting. So, do you want to start by telling a little bit of the background, or do you want to go straight into talking about the new release? How do you want to?
Yeah, we can do background.
Okay.
So I got into music by playing guitar, and I think originally my main focus was on like writing my own songs.
Mm-hmm.
And before I got into production at like my teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 8, and I was always more interested in like creating music with the guitar. I didn't want to be one of them guys who like plays all the really crazy solos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
Not
I
a
wasn't
shredder.
too. No, I'm not really a shredder. Although I kind of wish I was now. But and then growing up having guitar lessons, I was never too focused on technique or the grade side of it or the theory. For me, it was always like
A
I want to
tool.
be able to play along with songs that I like listening to
Yeah.
and bands that I like, and then I want to be able to create my own music using
Okay.
the guitar as my instrument. So I guess with a lot of composers, piano tends to be their starter one, but for me it was guitar.
So what kind of stuff was influencing you? What were you listening to, and what were you trying to play, kind of thing?
I think back then it was bands like Blink 182, Sum 41. It was
Mm.
that era of music, like early, early to mid 2000s.
Okay.
You had like the TV stations like Kerrang and that. I think there was just a lot of bands who fit in that sort of sphere. Good Charlotte was another one.
Yeah.
I think were really popular back then. So yeah, at that age, I just wanted to be able to play along with those songs, and then that progressed to me writing my own material. And then from there, I think my ear for music developed sort of in that way. Like I never thought about notes and chords, time signatures, and that. For me, it was always like based purely on feeling.
Yeah.
And sort of like, so I think I developed that songwriter's instinct. And then as I got older and left school, I went to do music technology. I feel like I brought that across from the guitar into the computer and production realm then.
Okay.
And then that allowed me to basically create as much as I want, but I wasn't bound to the guitar then.
Yeah.
It was like any sound, basically.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, naturally, I've just always been someone who's involved with creating music. It's what I love to do. And so when I was thinking about career-wise, writing music for film seemed like the best option for me, just because I thought that a sort of career as an independent artist is such a mad thing to even attempt, that you need to have something as like a sideline anyway. I guess being a film composer is a mad thing to attempt, but it seemed more realistic than just being a straight up independent artist. So I did film music for my degree, and then pursued that freelance, and then I've still always been writing stuff in the background, but never really releasing anything. And then I've done a lot of production with other artists, like hip hop artists, singer-songwriters in Manchester. I think I just got to this point where I'd done all this stuff for other people and for films. I didn't really have anything that was under just my own banner. And then that was the motivator really for finishing some tracks and putting it out there. So I'd say in terms of general background, that's it really.
Yeah, cool. So during that journey that you've described, did you actually formally study music? Can you read music and stuff like that?
So I can't read music. I can look at a score and semi-work out what's going on. These days, I can tell that it goes up and down. And I kind of know the difference between like crotchets, quavers, and all of that. But no, I can't read music. And I couldn't really converse with someone other than a very rudimentary level. I'd say most of my education is more in production. I'd say and music creation rather than music composition.
How did that work in terms of like without being able to read and write music? Was it like how to use a DAW and how to use plugins and stuff? Like how was it? What was the nature of the course?
I'd say it was a bit of a mix really. On UCAS, the entry requirements stated that we needed grade 5 theory to do the course, and I'm probably at grade 1 level now. So I was very worried going in that I was going to be totally out of my depth in that regard. But it turned out you didn't need grade 5, or you didn't need grade anything in theory.
Okay.
It's just kind of, I guess, a nice bonus. But yeah, and then talking about learning to use DAWs and things like that, again, it was less of that. It was more conceptual to begin with. I think it was focusing on the elements that make up a piece of music. One lecture that sticks in my mind is we had to design a monster called Schmerg. And Schmerg stands for sound, harmony, melody, rhythm, growth. And the idea there is that that's like the periodic table of music if you were to strip it back to its base element. So sounds like timbre, texture, harmonies like, chords and how that fits together, melody, rhythm, growth. I think they grounded us in that aspect and then applied that to film really. And then it's things like learning how to watch a scene, not as someone watching a film, but how do you read the scene as a composer, and how do you like pick the hit points and what's like the emotional arc of a piece of film to put music to. So I'd say a lot of it was conceptual. And then they partnered that with a heavy coursework element, which was just the practical of writing music for moving image, basically. And then over the 3 years, that got layered on in more complexity. So by the end, you'd had enough practice that you could take on, like a final coursework project, really.
So do you think that, like, with this release, do you think it's been informed by all of those things, like Blink 182 period, the media composition stuff, and also the stuff with hip hop artists and so on that you've done? Do you think all of that has gone into your project, or what do you think?
I'd say so, yeah, definitely. I think I definitely have like a harmonic like identity in the early years, and then doing the film stuff helped me think about storytelling and like emotional, how to craft a journey with sound. And then working as a producer then polished my technical craftsmanship. And then doing this release is like merging all three together, basically.
So let's talk about the release. So I mean, did you do everything yourself, or did you did someone else do some production on it? Like, who was involved with the project? Was it all you?
I'd say it was mainly me, in terms of composition, mix and master was all me. Had one solo violinist play on the lead track 25. Of guitar and samples added in, and that was kind of it, really. I mean, the tracks were developed over a 2-year period, just on and off. I never sat down and went, I'm going to make an EP, and did it that way. It was more that I was always writing music, and then I decided I wanted to release something, so I had to dig through the vault, find stuff that I could group together. And luckily, I did have a core group of stuff I've been working on that had like a similar like signature sound that would fit now.
So like some sketches.
Even then I had to shape things a little bit. It was more a case of like little ideas I'd made along the way, like either for a portfolio or whatever it was, that I just put to the side, really. And then when I decided I wanted to do an EP, I just dug them back out and then shaped them to all feel similar. So I think that was a nice process as well. Like, I'd recommend that to anyone who's in a similar situation. You've probably got enough for an EP or an album already. It's just a case of like flicking the switch in your head to decide it's okay to put that stuff out. Because I think perfectionism is almost the curse a lot of the time when you're starting out. Whereas when you release something, you realise that, I don't only have to do one album. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a perfect selection of tracks that ticks all the boxes. I can do the next album now.
Not every creation has to be your masterpiece.
Yeah, not at all.
So like if you had to give a succinct kind of summary of the EP in terms of like identity and perhaps style or the thread that runs through it, how would you briefly describe it?
Yeah, I'd say it's an ambient EP. It's got cinematic undertones, and it's designed for, I'd say, introspection in a way. It's not like a party EP or anything like that. It's the kind of thing where you listen to it from start to finish while you're going for a walk in the morning.
Yeah.
14 minutes long, and the idea is it's almost like a mind palette cleanser is how I view it. That it's like a wash of sound that'll, by the end of it, hopefully, you know what I mean, your brain will have gone on tangents and daydreaming. Cool. That's like how I imagine it personally.
That's what I need right now.
I like about it's what I think ambient music's so good for, because there's no lyrics.
Yeah.
Because it's quite loose. Like a lot of my stuff was recorded to a grid. I just left the tempo completely loose. I think it encourages that state of mind where you can just float from one idea to the next.
Mm-hmm.
I think definitely for creative people, we need, I call negative space, I think, in psychology. The idea that you need to program in like in time when you're not doing anything to give your mind the room to sift through, and your subconscious can like throw things up. Because if you're always trying to do things, it's like you're using the thinking part of your brain isn't always where your ideas come from.
Yeah.
I think ambient music's really good for that.
To what extent is the guitar the basis for the tracks, and how much guitar is featured on the EP? Is it quite subtle, the guitar?
I'd say it is subtle, yeah. There's not really much guitar at all, really. There's a few bits here and there, but I'd say if there was a lead instrument, it's piano.
Okay.
But I'm not a pianist, although I play MIDI keyboard, and I'm better than someone who's never played, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But in a way, I feel like that gives it its own character. Because when I play in a way that someone probably never would do.
Yeah.
And even though it's simple, it gives it its own feel that I think can be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, cool. So like, you released it like about 2 weeks ago, maybe something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, Feb 12th. So I think it was, it'll be 3 weeks as of Saturday. Yeah.
3 weeks as of Saturday. You said Feb 12th?
Yeah, or is that 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks, yeah. So it feels like longer. Yeah.
So like, how have you released it and how's it gone? What kind of response have you had, and how are you trying to promote it and stuff?
So up to now, it's mainly just been a digital release on Spotify. I've gone through Digital Music, who are like Ditto Music, who are a distributor. They just get it out on all the platforms for you. I've put it on my SoundCloud as well. And then, to be honest, in terms of promoting it, up to now, I'm still figuring that one out. I've been looking at, there's a website called Submit Hub, which I'd recommend. Basically, you pay for credits, and then you can use your credits to submit to like playlist and blog curators. So I've been doing a little bit of that, really. And then building from there, I've got a hit list of YouTube accounts that I'm going to reach out to and just say, if you want to use my music, you can do. Just give me a little credit and a link. there's ones, because I do a lot of camping and that sort of thing, so I'm reaching out to like mountaineering channels, just some of the smaller ones, like, so I think again my music would go well with that. Again, gives that sense of like a vast landscape kind of thing. So up to now, that's all I'm really doing, and then I'm just making little baby steps really. My goal in my head is to get to 200, well, I say fans, but 200 like regular listeners by the end of the year.
Okay.
It sounds, in a way, sounds really small, but I think sometimes it's good to have small goals. Considering at the moment, this is kind of like my hobby more than anything, like, because I do Northern Film Orchestra and all the other things sort of as my main project.
Sure.
I don't want to swamp my crazy goal that I need to have 1,000 fans or sell loads of albums or whatever. So I'm just taking small steps, and then if I find something, once I've got a better idea of my audience and community, then I can like double down on that really.
So are you already in the back of your mind thinking about like the next one, or is it too early? I mean, do you have any idea what might come next?
Yes, I'm thinking about future stuff. I've got 2 tracks that are almost ready to go, but I don't know. I'm still in 2 minds whether I'll release them or not, because they're quite experimental. I think I probably will.
You should.
I've got I've had some remixes made of this EP.
Okay.
So there'll be like a companion remix album to go with it. I'm going to remix one of my own tracks as well.
Nice.
Basically, whichever one hasn't been remixed, I'll do a remix of that just so the EP's filled out. And then following on from there, I'm working on tracks basically to release an album near my birthday in August.
Okay.
Would be the idea. Although now I'm thinking I might just do loads of singles, and then in the end of the year maybe put all the singles together as an album. Yeah.
Right.
Just because I feel like that old model of go in the studio, make an album, release it. It's good if you're established, but if you're still finding your audience, maybe it's better to go track by track.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
So that's the plan really. I'm going to try and release as much as I can this year, whilst also making it sure it's things I'm happy with and that sounds finished.
It sounds really exciting. I mean, do you think that this is your style established, or do you think you're going to kind of vary around it quite a lot? What do you think in future?
I think I will vary it. A lot of the stuff I'm writing now isn't ambient at all. It's very beats driven.
Okay.
And because I want to do live shows, and it's hard to do like an ambient live gig.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have everyone on beanbags sat around like with the lights down, which would be cool, but it's like, I feel like if you're trying to get booked for shows and promoters and things, it's too niche really. I want to make stuff that people can like dance to, and it's like more of a high energy to it. So the stuff I'm writing at the moment has that in mind. I'm always thinking like, would this be good in a live setting? So I want to do a gig basically where it's like me with like my electronics in the middle. And I've got like a live drummer, bassist, keyboard player, and then maybe some of the string players from NFO as well, backing me up too. So that's the idea I've got in my head really. So so
that's good.
I think my style tends to change quite often. So I never want to pigeonhole myself as I only do ambient music or I only do electronic. I'll probably move through various ones, and then I'll come back to ambient music. Just because it's easier.
That's great.
Eventually.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's nice to have like an image in your mind, isn't it? Of like, I'd love to see myself doing this type of gig, and then you're trying to create towards that. I think that's quite a nice way to sort of define which direction you go with some piece of music. You know, I need to make this a little bit more interesting for an audience, if you like, in a live set.
I think it's also it's easy to just stay in the studio all the time, but you're kind of disconnected from your listeners. Whereas if you do a gig, they might not even be your fans, but it's still people that are experiencing your music there live. I think even if none of them go home and listening to you, or they forget about you, just seeing that you've had that experience, I think then can motivate you. When you are back in the studio. It's like the thing I always tell composers with NFO, it's that you'd probably you'd be hungrier to write more music after you've done an orchestra session, because seeing how the players react to your music like almost lights another fire within you. Whereas if you just compose stuff and then you put it on SoundCloud, you never like see that reaction. It's hard to like replicate that.
You don't get any energy back from it, kind of thing. It's just one direction really. Yeah,
pretty much. I think you need a bit of that feedback as an artist.
I think so, yeah.
Propel you on.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd encourage composers to step away from film music and just do something that's purely for them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just a way of keeping yourself interested in the process. It's too easy to get bogged down in writing for picture, because you're writing for the director's vision. Yeah. So sometimes it's nice to just like, you don't even need a vision. You can just wake up and make the music you want to make, and just like be in that free space. So I definitely think for junior composers especially, it's a good way to learn your chops. Yeah, I'd say. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
Cool. Well, yeah, hopefully we'll get some nice comments below.
Yeah, let's hope so.
People let us know what they think about the music, and also perhaps share with us some of your experiences of creating music for yourself, as opposed to creating music for some video or some project. It'd be very interesting. I mean, I want to feature the work of more and more of the members of the QTube community. So this is a good way to hopefully spark some of that. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, have you ever thought of doing like a compilation album or something like that, where people could submit, and then you could do like an end of year compilation, like the best of, but it's like completely removed from film. Then it's just like standalone tracks. Like, I'm sure
could be cool.
The community's so talented that there could be a good variation of music there.
And people could collaborate even,
something like that would be really fun.
Would be very cool,
yeah.
All right, Jack. Well, thank you for that. It sounds good. I wish you great success, and I hope
thank you.
I hope that you get plenty of listeners and plenty of feedback and plenty of inspiration to do the next one. And let me know when you're doing a gig. I'd love to come along.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep you posted on all of that. And I'd love to see you there for a show.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Nice one. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Well done on finishing it anyway, because I know you're a busy man. So
yeah.
It must have been a challenge to finish it, I suppose. But well done. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care, Jack. See ya.